Why do I get diarrhea on my period? Causes and natural relief. If you've ever wondered why your period brings unexpected digestive changes, such as diarrhea, for instance, you're not alone. Many women experience diarrhea on their period. Let's look at why this happens and what you can do to actually ease it. Hello, I am so thrilled to be here. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Michelle Cooke, period and hormone naturopath, natural fertility educator or menstrual cycle educator, and emotion release technique practitioner. And I help women struggling with their menstrual cycle have easy, pain-free periods, balanced hormones, and emotional well-being. I am the founder and director of Reproductive Wellness, and I see patients both online and face to face. If you have any questions, pop them in the box down below, and I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. Why do I get diarrhea on my period? Number one, prostaglandins. A big contributor is hormone-like substances known as prostaglandins. So their main role is to actually assist with the contraction of the uterus, and this is actually going to help with the lining, the uterine lining to be shed, resulting in your period. So it's a pretty important job, and it's a perfectly normal process. However, there are some women that will have excess prostaglandins, which will result in stronger uterine contractions and more painful periods and painful cramps. So, prostaglandins don't actually just act locally in the uterus, they actually impact the bowel as well. So they do this by affecting the smooth muscle of the uterus, um, the smooth muscle of the bowels in the digestive tract. So the stimulation from these prostaglandins contract your bowel quicker than usual. So food is going to move faster through your bowels, and that's going to lead to looser poos or diarrhea. So at the start of your period is when prostaglandins peak. So they're normally highest then, which is typically around days 1 or 2 for most women. So this timing correlates with diarrhea then, urgency or running to the bathroom more often for number twos. And that's right in sync with things like heavy bleeding for some women and period pain and period cramps. So the higher that the level of those prostaglandins, the more likely that you are to experience diarrhea or looser poo. Number two, hormonal changes. So let's speak about progesterone and how it impacts the bowels. So progesterone acts on the smooth muscle of the bowel and it slows down motility or movement of the gut. So when food is passing through your bowels, there's this movement called peristalsis. So it's kind of going like this to sort of move food along, but actually the prostaglandins will slow that movement down, so that motility of the gut. And typically the progesterone is higher in that luteal phase after ovulation because that's when progesterone is typically produced. So then as we nudge closer to your period in the late luteal phase, if pregnancy doesn't take place, even though that might not be your intention, there is a drop in estrogen and progesterone. So this is a signal for the next step, which is for that uterine lining to shed and for your period to begin. So this drop in progesterone means that that slowing effect of that gut motility and the bowels is no longer there. So there's a faster gut motility or bowel motility or movement because progesterone has dropped. So this is another reason why you get diarrhea or looser stools or poo. When diarrhea and periods is normal versus when it's not. So normal is when it is mild and it occurs sort of prior to the period or the first 1 to 2 days of that period. And the timing and the pattern is pretty predictable for you. It resolves quickly because the prostaglandin levels will then drop. When it's not normal, there can be things like severe diarrhea. There can be the diarrhea is ongoing. There can be dehydration. There can be blood in your poo, and there can be severe abdominal pain. So this sort of indicates that it's not normal. Links to bigger conditions. So when it is not normal, it can be associated with the following conditions. IBS flare-ups. So usually you'll notice these at any time, but they can actually worsen around the period. They can be long-lasting. They can be abdominal pain, bloating. It can be triggered by stress as well and certain foods. Inflammatory bowel disease or IBD. So things like Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. Endometriosis. So usually the diarrhea will also be associated with other symptoms as well. So this might be severe pain, or it might also include things like nausea and fainting and things like that. It just depends. Everyone's presentation is a little bit different there. Hyperthyroid. So when there's an overactive thyroid, so it's operating faster than it should, this will increase metabolism, which can also lead to diarrhea or looser stools or poo. SIBO, so small intestinal bowel overgrowth, or bowel disease, sorry, or overgrowth. It can be either. This can be common with endometriosis as well, so keep an eye out for that. Natural support and relief for period poos. Stress support. So stress can make diarrhea so much worse. So make sure that you actually employ some stress management strategies into your week. So taking time out to breathe, have a cup of tea, go for a gentle stroll out in nature, rest, meditate, do yoga or Pilates or breath work, simply breathing in for the count of 4 and then out for the count of 4, for example. Herbal tea. So chamomile. This is such a gorgeous nervous system support for your gut, and it's very calming. Peppermint. So this reduces inflammation and it's antispasmodic, so it stops any spasms or contractions or cramping in the gut, or contraction of the bowels, and it's very soothing for the digestive tract. Diet. So in terms of diet, I would be avoiding fatty foods, so things like deep fried or fast foods like hot chips, burgers, things like that. Bad fats, so vegetable oil, lard, canola oil. Greasy meat, so fatty beef or lamb or sausages. Cow's dairy, so cream, cheese, ice cream, creamy pasta sauce. Junk food, so pastries, pies, croissants, crisps, donuts, those kind of things. And swapping for more healthy fats, so things like avocado, nuts and seeds, olive oil, fatty fish or oily fish is what I mean. So things like salmon, mackerel, sardines, herring, and also things like chicken as well. Hydration support. So this is really important. Obviously, if you've got diarrhea, you're losing a lot of water content. So it's really, really important to then actually increase your water intake. And to also look at improving potassium-based foods or drinks. So things like coconut water, bananas, and leafy greens. An electrolyte powder is a good idea as well, but make sure you have a good look at the label. It needs to be free from artificial flavors and colors and preservatives and things like that, and sugar, because some of them are loaded with sugar and artificial dyes and things like that. So avoid those types of ones. So it is common, but it can be managed. So if you're experiencing diarrhea either during or before your period and it's affecting your quality of life, there may be actually underlying gut issues, or there might be hormone imbalances that are actually driving this as well. So this is something that I help women with within the clinic. So if you would like any support with this, I would love to help you. So go ahead and book an appointment. If you're watching on my YouTube channel, there's a link in the description. If you're watching on my website blog, there's a button just down below. So go ahead and book an appointment. And FYI, I will be uploading a video every single week talking about women's hormones, periods, menstrual cycles, and all those types of things. So make sure that you stay tuned for the next video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching on my YouTube channel, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell icon so that you don't miss any future videos. And I will look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you so much.